You notice the way one message can change your whole evening. You reread a simple text and somehow it feels heavier than the words inside it. That tiny shift is often where falling begins. And yes, some people fall quietly. Not because they do not feel deeply, but because feelings can be tender before they become confident. So if you have been sensing something unspoken, you are probably noticing real clues. The secret is that love rarely arrives as one grand confession. It usually leaks out through patterns, through attention, through softness, through the way someone keeps reaching for you without fully meaning to. By the end of this, you will know how to spot the signs beneath the surface. And the beautiful part is that most of them are less about game playing and more about emotional gravity. The first sign is simple. They remember the little things you barely thought mattered, not just your birthday or your favorite movie. They remember the story about the song you skip because it reminds you of a strange summer. They remember how you take your coffee after a rough week. They remember the joke you made once when you were half distracted. Psychologically, this matters because we naturally store details about people who feel important to us. Our minds become selective. Out of all the noise in a normal day, certain things stick because that person sticks. So when someone keeps holding on to the small pieces of you, it often means you are taking up real space inside them. And this is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is just them asking how that stressful meeting went days later. Sometimes it is them noticing your mood before you explain it. That kind of memory says, I carry you with me, even when you are not here. A lot of people mistake this sign for simple politeness. But politeness is broad. This is specific. This is chosen attention. And chosen attention is where secret affection starts becoming visible. Now here is the twist most people miss. The next sign is not always about more words. Sometimes it is about better ones. When someone is secretly falling for you, their communication begins to carry emotional weight. They do not just text because they are bored. They text because contact with you regulates something in them. You become part of the rhythm of their day. That is why their messages often feel warmer, more thoughtful, or a little more frequent than necessary. They send you something small because it made them think of you. They check in without an obvious reason. They circle back after conversations instead of letting them drop. This does not mean constant texting equals love. It means the quality of contact starts changing. There is more intention in it, more emotional presence, more little openings that say, I want to stay connected. If you have ever looked at your phone and instantly known who wants your attention most, you know this feeling. It is not about volume. It is about the energy behind the reach. Here is what is really going on. When we are drawn to someone, connection starts to feel soothing. Even brief contact can create relief, curiosity, and anticipation. That is why the messages of someone falling for you often feel less random and more like quiet returning. The third sign shows up in their body before it reaches their mouth. They soften around you. Their face changes when they see you. Their posture opens. Their attention settles. Even when they are trying to act normal, the body often tells the truth first. They lean in when you speak. Their eyes linger a second longer than usual. They mirror your expression without realizing it. They look away, then back again. That back again part matters. Because attraction often lives in repeated orientation. We keep turning toward what feels emotionally magnetic. And when feelings are still secret, this can look like nervous brightness. A smile that arrives too quickly. A laugh that lands a little too warmly. A certain alertness when you enter the room. This is not about decoding every gesture like a machine. One sign alone means very little. But clusters matter. Patterns matter. Consistency matters. If someone repeatedly becomes more alive, more attentive, or more visibly gentle in your presence, there is usually something underneath it. And this is also why secret feelings can feel so confusing. Words may stay careful, but their body keeps breaking the news. Before we go further, notice something important. Secret affection does not always look bold. Sometimes it looks careful because the feeling itself feels precious. That leads to the fourth sign. They get curious about your inner world. Not just what you did today, but how you think, how you became who you are, what you believe about love, what scares you, what makes you feel safe. When someone is quietly falling, surface conversation often starts giving way to emotional mapping. They want to understand what moves you. They ask follow-up questions. They remember your answers. They connect different parts of your story together. This happens because attraction is not only about wanting access to your time, it is also about wanting access to your meaning. The person starts wondering what life feels like from inside your skin. That curiosity is intimate, and intimacy usually grows before labels do. Think about the difference between being entertained by someone and being emotionally drawn to them. Entertainment stays on the surface. Emotional draw keeps going deeper. It wants context. It wants nuance. It wants the backstory. As this sounds like someone in your life, you are not alone, and you can tell me which sign feels most familiar. Because for many people, this is the moment they start realizing the connection is becoming real. The fifth sign is one of the clearest. They make room for you. And not only in their schedule, in their decisions, in their attention, in the way they imagine the next few days. Someone secretly falling for you starts factoring you in. They choose places you would like. They bring up plans that include you naturally. They shift things around just to get a little more time together. Not in a desperate way, in a willing way. That difference matters. Because love is not just intensity. It is prioritization. It is the quiet sentence hidden inside behavior that says, "You matter enough to shape my choices." This might look like saving you a seat without mentioning it, or texting you first when something good happens, or extending a conversation when they really should be leaving. Small acts of inclusion can reveal big feelings. And this is the beautiful part. Real affection often looks less like performance and more like rearrangement. A person does not need a speech to show they are moving things around for you. Their life starts making space. That space is emotional evidence. But there's another sign that tends to be misunderstood. They become a little vulnerable with you. Not all at once. Not in a dramatic confession. Just enough to let you see behind the polished version of them. Maybe they admit something they usually hide. Maybe they show you insecurity instead of only confidence. Maybe they tell you what they are afraid of ruining. This matters because vulnerability is often the bridge between attraction and attachment. When someone wants to be liked, they manage impressions. When someone starts falling, they slowly risk being known. That risk is powerful, especially if the person is usually composed, especially if they seem careful with most people. Secret feelings create a strange tension. Part of them wants to look perfect. Another part wants to be understood. So you may notice moments where they almost reveal too much, then pull back. That push and pull can be a sign that the stakes feel emotionally real to them. And no, this does not mean every vulnerable person is in love. Context matters. Mutual trust matters. But when vulnerability appears alongside attention, curiosity, and prioritization, the picture becomes harder to ignore. Here is a gentle reframe. What looks like mixed signals is sometimes just a sincere person trying not to drop their heart too soon. That brings us to the seventh sign. They care about your emotional state in a deeper way than casual interest explains. Your mood affects them. Your wins genuinely light them up. Your stress makes them want to ease something for you. They notice when your energy changes. They ask questions that are really attempts to protect the connection. They want to know if you got home safely. They remember when you have a difficult day coming. They feel relief when you feel okay. This is one of the strongest clues because love begins to shift the boundary between me and you. Another person's emotional world starts mattering personally, not as an obligation, as an instinct. That instinct is tenderness, and tenderness is often the earliest language of real love. You can see it in small moments. The way they pause before making a joke if you seem fragile. The way they celebrate something you almost forgot to mention. The way they become gentler when you are overwhelmed. People who are secretly falling do not just enjoy your presence. They start caring about your experience. And caring changes behavior. So how do you put all of this together without overreading every interaction? Look for patterns instead of isolated moments. One remembered detail means little by itself. One long eye contact moment could mean anything. One vulnerable conversation might simply reflect trust. But several of these signs repeating over time usually point somewhere meaningful. The real question is not, did they do one romantic thing once? The real question is, do they consistently turn toward you? Do they remember you? Do they seek you? Do they soften with you? Do they make room for you? Do they care in ways that feel personal? That is the pattern to watch. And here's the deeper truth most people learn a little late. Secret love is often less mysterious than we think. It does not only live in hidden feelings. It lives in repeated investment. The heart leaves fingerprints, usually through attention, presence, curiosity, and care. Still, there is one more layer worth remembering. Sometimes someone can feel deeply and still not be ready. That can be hard to accept. Because signs of affection are not always the same as capacity for relationship. A person may be drawn to you and still move slowly. They may care and still feel afraid. They may show love in fragments before they know what to do with it. This is why your job is not to decode every silence until it becomes certainty. Your job is to notice what is real, stay grounded in your own worth, and let patterns speak louder than hope. That balance protects your heart without closing it. And if you are wondering whether to trust your intuition, start here. Your intuition is strongest when it is backed by behavior. Not fantasy, not chemistry alone, not late-night overthinking. Behavior. Consistent behavior. That is where hidden feelings stop being hidden. Here is something to remember. The healthiest kind of love rarely needs you to beg for proof. Even when it starts quietly, it tends to show itself through steadiness, through emotional reliability, through the feeling that this person keeps finding their way back to you. And if someone is secretly falling for you, chances are you have already felt that gravity. Maybe in the way they look at you when you are not performing. Maybe in the way they keep returning to tiny details. Maybe in the way your happiness seems to matter to them more than it needs to. That is not nothing. That is often the beginning of something honest. So do not rush to force a label before the pattern has time to unfold. Let actions gather. Let consistency reveal character. Let warmth, care, and effort tell you what words have not said yet. And if you want more conversations like this, stay close, because we are only scratching the surface of how love really works. Sometimes the clearest confessions are not spoken first. Sometimes they are remembered, noticed, protected, and gently repeated. That is how hidden love becomes visible. And once you learn to see it, you stop chasing noise and start recognizing the quiet truth. That alone can change the way you choose love.